Hi, welcome to class. So going over what we did today in class. So we first went over this quote of the day, where students shared things such as just because bad things are around you doesn't necessarily mean that you can't get out of the bad situation that's around you. But again, as long as you put something of what that quote means to you, you will get a good grade. We then talked about this question, which is our theme for the day, which is what is a golden age? So we kind of broke down that word, that golden. A lot of students put things like it means you're rich, it means you're valuable. And then students took it one step further and talked about that they thought if a golden age, and this is all opinion, it probably meant that things were good, that people were happy, that there were new things being invented. Okay, so just list a couple of those things that when you hear the word golden, what do you think of when you hear the word golden? So we did that. Okay, we then went over, so we examined two different civilizations. So we first examined Mali, which is in West Africa. Okay, then we talked about on this Google Doc that up at the top, it has the compelling question. So this is what we're trying to focus on for the next couple of weeks is what makes something historically significant. Okay, and we're doing that by the supporting question of what defines a golden age. So again, that is our focus of today. These first two top boxes, you do not have to answer. It's kind of like a learning target. You just have to, look at this to make sure you know what we're learning today. You should be able to answer this at the end of the day, but that just kind of gives you what to focus on. So the first thing we focused on was what is a claim and evidence. So claim is a statement that usually is an opinion as long as you back it up with evidence. So you tell me why. So I gave the funny example that I could make a claim that the Cleveland Cavaliers are the best basketball team. My evidence would be because they won a championship. Now, some of you might think Cleveland Cavaliers are not the best basketball team, and that's your opinion, as long as you back it up with evidence. So when I grade these, your claims are never going to be wrong, as long as you back it up with evidence. If you don't back it up with any evidence, chances are your claim isn't accurate. So we went through one at a time with these different sources. So the first one, and I'm going to read it to you. So this insert, this quote, is from, it was ruled by kings called Manzes. Ibn Battuta, a famous Muslim traveler, visited Mali's capital in 1352 and described the rule of the Manzes. Okay, so this is describing their West Africa, Mali's kings, called a Manzes. The people possess some admirable qualities. They are seldom unjust and have a greater appearance of injustice than other people. Okay, so they don't put up with people that commit crimes. Manza shows no mercy to anyone least guilty of the act of injustice. So Manza doesn't show mercy to anyone if they commit a crime. There is a complete security in their country. Neither traveler nor inhabitant has anything to fear from robbers or men of violence. Okay, so my first period class, these were some of the things we came up with for claim. So for that one, they felt people were treated, everyone was treated the same. People had nothing to fear, and that Manza created a lot of safety. So they think these three things kind of define what makes the golden age. Their evidence for that was that it literally stated Manza showed no mercy to anyone, which would indicate your claim that everyone was treated equally. They had nothing to fear, so no inhabitant had anything to fear. It literally said that. Manza created a lot of safety. He did that because it talked about he punished people for breaking the rules. Okay, so these are three different claims. You can write those exact same ones. You can come up with your own, as long as it is backed up with evidence. Okay, and again, I am moving a little faster with this video, but if you want to hit pause so you can really look at this screen, this is your chance to pause. Okay, so moving on to source 2. So source 2, again, we're examining Mali, West Africa. So I'm going to read this passage to you. Again, you can find this slideshow in your Google Classroom, so you can look at it, the enlargement of it. Mali's economic development and eventual wealth was linked to the growth of regular and intensified trans-Saharan trade in gold, salt, and ivory, which allowed for the development of larger urban centers. I did put a little side note. If you don't know what urban centers are, that means cities. and encouraged territorial expansion to gain control over different trade routes. Okay, so one of my classes wrote, so their claim after reading that eventual wealth was linked to the growth of regular trade in cities, that because they were wealthy to begin with, it helped with trading, that Mali's economic development allowed for better trade routes, which grew their power, that we really talked about the word economic, that because of trading, that helps sponsor your economy, which then helps with better trade routes. And then simply, they said Mali was extremely wealthy. So our evidence that kind of matches for all three of those, it literally stated that trading gold, salt, and ivory, which helped build those cities. So that's the part of expansion. And then a part of their evidence, as it stated, that expansion to gain control over different trade routes. That because they were so wealthy and trade was a big part of their golden age and what made them a society, was expanding over trade routes. Okay, and again, this is your time to pause if you want to write any of this down. Again, it does not have to be word for word, that if you want to come up with some of your own answers, you can. Okay, so source 3. What defines a golden age? Number 3, so West Africa again. There are many shops of craftsmen and merchants, especially of those who weave cotton and cloth. To this place, merchants bring cloth from Europe. All the women of this area, except maidservants, go with faces covered and sell all necessary kinds of food. Here, there are many doctors, judges, priests, and other educated men that are all maintained at the king's cost. Many manuscripts and books can be bought here and sold here for money than any other merchandise. Okay, so students in this class, what they came up with, they had a booming economy because also they had lots and lots of things to sell and trade and buy. So they clearly were wealthy. They were clearly educated, and there was lots of different jobs. Okay, they talked about judges, doctors. So it lists for evidence that they had merchants, doctors, tradesmen. There were lots of things to buy. They mentioned things like books, which also means they're educated, and that people are actually buying. That in class we kind of discussed that if your country isn't doing well, you're not going to be buying things like books. You're going to be trying to get food or getting a stable government, that they must be doing really well if they're thriving with this economy where they can buy, sell, and trade all sorts of things in one marketplace. So again, this is a good place and time for you to pause. Okay. Source 4. So now we're switching from source 4 to talk about the Mayans. So the Mayan civilization is similar-ish to the Aztecs, and in fact of the same time period. It was located in South Mexico. So source 4. So now we're switching to the Mayans. In order to build their temples and construct their calendars, the Mayans needed an advanced understanding of mathematics. As evidence of that achievement, they developed their own number system, which included the concept of zero, something that few civilizations in the Eastern Hemisphere discovered on their own. Okay, so our claims for that was very short and sweet for this one. They were very educated. And our evidence of that was because they understood math. They came up with calendars, the concept of zero, that this had to be a very educated society in order for them to do that. So again, that is your time to pause. All right, source 5. Again, talking about the Mayans. The Mayans used 2 calendars together to create an accurate way to measure the passage of time. The Habab is a calendar of 365 days and an 18-month period of 20 days each. And the Tazalim, which is a sacred calendar of 260 days divided into 3 groups of 20 months. These 2 calendars are used together like gears in a machine and is what is called a calendar round, which lasted 52 years. There was a long calendar that measured time over the course of 100 years. To construct these calendars, the Mayans needed advanced knowledge of astronomy. They helped them predict the movements of the planets and the rotation of Earth around the sun. So our claim for that. So this class wrote several. They said they wanted to know more about astronomy, so they were educated. They were smart and advanced in technology, that calendars make your life better, that they knew how to develop these things. The Mayan civilization created the calendar to better understand the way of life. So our evidence was they invented 2 working calendars that worked. The 365-day calendar we still use today. They accurately figured out where the planets were. So in that time period, that was huge. Okay, so again, education is another factor for these Mayans and why they lived in a golden age. So once we examined all of that, again, this is your time to hit pause to copy that. We then went to this right-hand side called the organizational tasks. This was just to list criteria for the golden age. So you can either go back to the quote of the day or you can look through this. So this class came out with some themes that they saw throughout that we talked about. So educated, that usually in a golden age, you had to have some form of education. We saw that with Mali. We saw that with the Mayans. Trading was good, that you needed to have lots of resources to trade. Fairness to laws, that people needed to be treated equally. No fear, so that protection, we saw that in Mali. They had to be rich of some sort. New inventions were being done, people buying things, good economy. That these are all different things in these different claims and evidence that we kind of saw in each and every single one, that you needed to have these things. So taking this organizational task, these different themes. So again, if you want to hit pause to get yourself a chance to kind of copy some down. Going down to the formative performance task. Okay, so this one's a little bit lengthier, but it's not difficult. So the question asks, develop a claim with evidence. So again, make a statement, back it up with support to answer the question. What defines a golden age? Okay, so you should start with a complete sentence. So I kind of started it for you. What defines a golden age is. So this class came up with different responses. So one person put their economy is good. One person put peace, prosperity, and love. One person put wealth and educated. And another one was advancement in technologies. So you can pick one of those. You can pick all of them. Completely up to you. And I put this in bold, and I was really exaggerating, is the because. So whatever claim you pick, that golden age is because of economy, it's because of prosperity, it's because of wealth, education, new developments of technology. Because is the most important part. You had to back it up with a reason. So they talked about you wanted to have things you need in life, which gives them wealth. That they talked about it gives them different types of freedoms, education, because that helped them invent new things to make their life easier. Okay, so any of those, you can use some of your claims back up here, that if you wanted to copy and paste some of the evidence up here, that, you know, the Mayans invented 2 working calendars. They invented math. They had lots of things to buy, things like trading in gold, salt, and ivory. Any of those are your because. Any of those are your evidence. Okay, again, so you can pause, copy what you need. Once you're done, please make sure you hit the turn in button. I still have a lot of students that are not hitting that turn in button. They're doing it, but they're not hitting turn in. On my end of it, I see it, but I cannot give it a grade. It won't let me. So please make sure you hit that turn in grade to get all credit. Please do not forget, you have the quote of the day for Friday. So please don't forget those. These are really easy, but a lot of people just forget to do them. You have one more other assignment. What factors help a civilization? We did do that on Tuesday. If you missed it, I have another video for Tuesday that you can watch. Okay, so this is your work for the week. Once you're done, make sure you hit turn in for everything. All right, good luck. Email me if you need help.